decisions that impact their lives. In this regard, our firm belief, and in making with the spirit of this moment, is that all social partners must come together, collaborate, and give greater attention to the challenges facing local government. This is notwithstanding the considerable progress made by municipalities throughout our provinces. To give context and policy focus, honorable delegates, one of the major achievements of our democratic dispensation enshrined in the Constitution has been the institutional transformation of this sphere of local government. Fundamentally, it restructured a system that was originally designed to enforce apartheid-era spatial segregation and separate development among different communities and racial groups in South Africa. As a result, it established three distinct yet interrelated and interdependent spheres of government, which is national, provincial, and local government. This reconfiguration repositioned the legal framework and status of local government, establishing a new municipal system with distinct objectives and a developmental agenda. Section 41, subsection 1F of the Constitution mandates that each sphere of government exercises only the powers and functions granted to it by the Constitution. Additionally, Section 41, subsection 1H requires that the spheres to cooperate with one another in mutual trust and in good faith, including providing assistance and support as needed. Over the 30 years of our democracy, local government has played a central role in mobilizing and coordinating government services that are aimed at enhancing service delivery and improving the overall quality of life for our people.
If you've just joined us, that was the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Refilwe Mthweni-Tsipane, during the opening of the Local Government Week 2025. And of course, the focus for this year is ensuring that the dignity of the people is restored and that the key focuses are on human settlements, it is on water and sanitation and spatial planning. Of course, the day has already started. That was part one of that program. It's a week-long program which will include oversight trips throughout the week. Of course, the program is focused in the Cape Town city centre, and the identified places are Khayelitsha, Philippi, Guguletu and Danune. And these are the places that the NCOP has collaborated with SALGA and other local representatives to ensure that their issues are put on the map. It's the national map that is. It has been a jam-packed program, Tembinkosi, today. I mean, we've had a lot of local representatives come up. We've had the Minister of Human Settlements, Ms. Thembi Simelane, who was up there making a speech this morning as well. We've had Ms. Refilwe Mthweni-Tsipane, which is the NCOP's chairperson as well. And ultimately, as we have laid out, service delivery has been an issue within municipalities across all provinces, and these are the issues that are being laid out within Local Government 2025.
And I think, Sepho, the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces was very clear when she spoke on issues of quality service delivery, because that's the only time you can get that is when you have good governance, which means you have right people in the right places, people that are able to give direction in terms of running these municipalities. But safe to mention that when the NCOP opened this morning's session, she was very clear on, she just reminded us of the call that was made in the Freedom Charter when it was adopted, yes, that government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And he called on the social partners that need to come together in order to ensure that we resolve the challenges that are facing our local municipalities. And you've mentioned that the program that is going to play out during the course of this week, like those visits, yes, that you indicated, we are aware that Parliament will divide, the NCOP anyway, will divide itself into 4 groups, which will visit the areas that you have mentioned. I'm looking forward to those areas because we do know that the challenges that people are encountering, especially in terms of water and sanitation, in terms of all those that you have listed, housing, special planning, human settlements. So we wait to see how this program is going to unfold over the next 3 days, going into Friday, which is the last day.
And of course, if you were watching, you know that, of course, so far we've had, as we mentioned, that NCOP chairperson, Ms. Refilwe Mthweni-Zipane, but also on the program today was Honorable Z. Barnes Mkamashe, who is the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. And he was delivering integrated services to the people through cooperative governance and support to local sphere of government. Temikos, I think it's important for people to note that this is a collaboration with not just local government, but provincial government as well, and other entities in ensuring that service delivery is delivered to the people. And I think it's also important to note that we know that during SONA, this was one of the highlights and key focuses of the president. He did mention that local government and municipalities is one of the key issues that they need to focus on in the 7th administration. And this is, of course, what the NCOP is doing. This is the work of Parliament in ensuring that those key goals and the executive is doing what it's supposed to do.
And I'm sure we saw yesterday what was happening in Johannesburg when the president invited all the ward councillors that are within the ANC to come and have a discussion in Johannesburg. But some of the challenges that were highlighted by the NCOP chairperson include the concern about some municipalities that have been placed under administration due to these governance failures. And we've seen a number of those municipalities being put into administration.
There's a recent one in the Free State as well.
And we've seen some of the challenges that impact on Disobotla and other municipalities in the northwest, and we've seen even the visit by the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, as well as ministers. The president himself was in northwest, and some of the challenges that he was looking at included these municipalities.
Yes. And clearly there is a big focus when it comes to the work of Parliament with regards to service delivery and municipalities. Like you mentioned, we're having now Local Government Week 2025, right? Before that, we had the chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance, Mr. Zweli Mkhize, who was focusing on telling us about the oversight trips that they've decided to take on jointly, not only with just the PC on cooperative governance, but with SCOPA as well, which is the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, and SCOAG, which is the Standing Committee on the Auditor General. And this is to ensure that there are better systems within municipalities and you at home get the services that you so deserve. Of course, you're still watching Parliament TV. This is Local Government Week 2025. Stay tuned.
South Africa's Parliament will proudly host the 11th G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit, known as the P20, bringing together leaders from G20 national parliaments to shape global policies and reinforce parliamentary oversight in international decision-making. As the first African country to lead the P20, South Africa's Parliament is championing Africa's active participation in global governance and economic policy-making, ensuring the continent is a driving force in shaping the future we want. Parliament will play a critical oversight role, ensuring that South Africa's commitments as G20 president translate into real economic growth, job creation, and social development. The P20 summit will embed African perspectives in global decision-making, ensuring that policies on trade, technology, and governance reflect the continent's needs and aspirations. In alignment with SONA 2025's theme, Harnessing Parliamentary Diplomacy for the Realization of Global Solidarity, Equality, and Sustainability, Parliament is committed to fostering international collaboration for a better, more just world. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
There's a new phenomenon. It's called the attack on critical infrastructure. The attack on water infrastructure and other important infrastructure is one of the pandemics we face. The right to access to water, the right for industries to operate, and many, many other rights, they are being affected by the issues of organized criminality. One of the organized criminality is happening on the issue of unintended consequences of water tankering. Water tankering must be temporary. Water tankering must be insourced. It cannot be a permanent fixture because municipalities, you lose what? You lose money. But more importantly, there are criminals there colluding with people inside the state. They destroy the valves, they destroy the system. And a report has been produced by South African Human Rights Commission with vets. We must deal with it. Sometimes they bring water that is not clean. Those tankers, they might be actually be carrying sewer at a particular point, doing other things. Even at an instance where some people want sexual favors, they sell that water. That's the problem. But then the attack on infrastructure is the people who are stopping projects. Water projects and other projects are not starting on time because the officials, the institutions have been captured. They don't agree who must get the tent. And some officials have been killed in other municipalities. We must protect the procurement, deal with the question of extortions, and the gangs that are carrying heavy ammunition, those high caliber weapons, where they can just stop the project. Because you start to pay one gang, the other gang will come and demand. We must handle that matter. A new risk around vandalism and attack on infrastructure is around the issues of digital attack. Rand Water is the best technology, and Umgeni Water. President actually launched a project of more than 600 million liters per day in Johannesburg. Guess what is the state of the art? We are using artificial intelligence, but we must attend to the issue of cybersecurity. If we don't do digital protection of our resources, we'll have a problem. That's how it can take different forms. In our own case as a country, we need to know that local government has done well over the last 8 years around access to basic services for many that were denied. But we must be the first to admit that there are serious worrying signs. There are issues of regression that we must attend to. We will need a lot of resources to do this work. In the world, we will need about $7 trillion so that we can achieve our SDGs. In our own continent, in Africa, we will need $30 billion per annum so that we can be able to address the issues of water and sanitation. That's why here in Cape Town, as part of our G20 presidency, we're able to hold the first Africa investment program by the heads of states and government. Then we're able to raise about $12 billion commitments for only this year, and we'll be in a position to commit. As South Africa, we will need at this stage more than R1 trillion so that we can achieve our goals of access to water and decent sanitation. What is the mischief that we are dealing with? One of the biggest mischief is the question of water security. Is South Africa going to run out of water by 2030? As we stand now, in terms of our water balance, in our system design, we have about 17 billion cubic meters in terms of our design capacity, whether it's the dams, it's the canals that are all here. But what is actually happening, the actual yield is around 15 billion cubic meters. You can think there's a deficit of 2 billion cubic meters. But in the country, the water balance is okay, but they are localized deficit. The very same problem you got in Cape Town at a particular point where there was a drought, and then water to be released from the other system, the Nelson Mandela Bay, they are localized deficit, but it does not necessarily mean that as a country we are running out of water.
This September, the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa proudly hosts the inaugural P20 Young Parliamentarians Conference in Claremont, just outside Cape Town, from 29 to 30 September 2025. The P20 Youth Conference is part of larger G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit, where world leaders in parliament come together to tackle global challenges. It's also an opportunity for young MPs under 40 from different corners of the world to discuss and bring their ideas to life, helping build a world that is sustainable and inclusive. The theme for this year's summit is Harnessing Parliamentary Diplomacy for the Realization of Global Solidarity, Equality, and Sustainability. Young parliamentarians will tackle real issues that impact youth around the globe, such as youth driving climate change and sustainable development, fair budgets and policies that include young people's priorities, more youth in politics, and bold ideas in education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. The ideas and concerns of young parliamentarians will be captured and reflected in the final P20 declaration, giving youth a say in shaping the global parliamentary agenda. By hosting this global event, the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa shows its commitment to meaningful youth participation and helping build a more equal and inclusive future. For more on the P20 Young Parliamentarians Conference, visit www.parliament.gov.za or p20.parliament.gov.za. Catch all the action on Parliament TV, DSTV channel 408, and stay connected through our social media channels at Parliament of RSA. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
As South Africa leads the G20, Parliament will host the second P20 meeting of women parliamentarians in Cape Town from 29 to 30 September. The first P20 meeting of women parliamentarians was held in Brazil last year. This year, women parliamentarians from G20 countries, women from across Africa, and key international partners will gather here in South Africa to discuss issues affecting women around the globe. This second gathering will focus on making sure women's voices and experiences play a key role in shaping decisions on climate action and the move to clean energy, creating opportunities for women to fully exercise their power in economic decisions and development planning, securing resources and funding for women-led farming and business projects, and increasing women's representation in legislatures and elevating their influence in decision-making. The Women's P20 will culminate in the adoption of the Cape Town Declaration, a strong, united call for action and accountability on gender equality in Parliament and beyond. By hosting the second P20 meeting of women parliamentarians, Parliament of South Africa is demonstrating its commitment to advancing gender equality at home and abroad. For more information on the P20 meeting of women parliamentarians, visit www.parliament.gov.za or p20.parliament.gov.za. Watch the second P20 meeting of women parliamentarians on Parliament TV, DSTV channel 408, and follow the conversation on all our digital platforms. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
In 2004, we adopted the Breaking New Ground policy, a comprehensive plan which was meant to develop sustainable human settlement. Cabinet introduced this plan to move beyond simple housing provision to create integrated communities. And we must say it's a stubborn realization to create integrated housing communities. Some who purport to be good ensure that it still persists. It grounds people outside the economic vehicle of what makes CBDs and cities. It forces people to still live way far where they are working. It ensures that
You're still watching Parliament TV. It is Local Government Week 2025 right here on the precinct. And of course, this has been in the National Council of Provinces, where the focus and the theme is on ensure and restoring the dignity of the people. And the focus areas are human settlements, water and sanitation, and of course, spatial planning. It has been a program filled with a lot of speakers from not just the ministry, but from local government representatives as well.
Yes, Chebo, but just want to take you back to some, like our viewers in particular, to some of the challenges that were raised by the chairperson of the NCOP, Ms. Refilwe Mutsweni, because the lack of adequate skills seems to be one of the major challenges in local municipalities, especially in the deep rural areas. You know, we would have seen on the news where in some instances these municipalities have two mayors, or in an instance where a mayor had refused to hand in a mayoral chain back, and until now we have municipalities where they are missing mayoral chains. And another issue that she raised was the non-payment, the culture of non-payment of services, especially in relation to ESCOM. We know, we've seen that several times, many times, ESCOM complaining about municipalities that were not paying for their electricity bills.
And of course, viewers will appreciate the fact that some of the highlights throughout the speeches today is accountability and oversight, and the importance of that, the importance of engaging communities. And I mean, with Parliament, of course, there is a huge importance and a huge focus on ensuring that the public participates within the Parliament's processes. Apart from that, we have integrated planning across spheres of government, right? That there needs to be relation, there needs to be a collaboration between all spheres of government to ensure that service delivery is delivered to the people. Addressing backlogs, and this of course includes ensuring that debt is paid to the likes of ESCOM to ensure that there is delivery of services. And of course, capacity and resource constraints, which is a huge thing, and some of the things that the NCOP chairperson highlighted in her opening speech.
And it's very important also to indicate the issues of overpopulation, especially when it comes to the urban areas, where we see a lot of migration of people from the rural and semi-rural areas. But before we can proceed any further, the show is still on. You are watching us on Parliament TV. We're coming to you live from DSTV channel 408. Please stay tuned.
South Africa's Parliament will proudly host the 11th G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit, known as the P20, bringing together leaders from G20 national parliaments to shape global policies and reinforce parliamentary oversight in international decision-making. As the first African country to lead the P20, South Africa's Parliament is championing Africa's active participation in global governance and economic policymaking, ensuring the continent is a driving force in shaping the future we want. Parliament will play a critical oversight role, ensuring that South Africa's commitments as G20 president translate into real economic growth, job creation, and social development. The P20 summit will embed African perspectives in global decision-making, ensuring that policies on trade, technology, and governance reflect the continent's needs and aspirations. In alignment with SONA 2025's theme, Harnessing Parliamentary Diplomacy for the Realization of Global Solidarity, Equality, and Sustainability, Parliament is committed to fostering international collaboration for a better, more just world. Your Parliament, your voice, your future. From the 16th to the 19th of September, the National Council of Provinces hosts Local Government Week 2025 under the theme Restoring the Dignity of Our People through Proper Spatial Planning, Provision of Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation. This flagship program brings together Parliament, provinces and municipalities to strengthen oversight, improve accountability and fast-track service delivery. A key objective of Local Government Week
is to strengthen intergovernmental cooperation in driving oversight and accountability within the local sphere. This year's focus areas are human settlements, water and sanitation, and spatial planning in the city of Cape Town, with site visits to Gugulethu, Danun, Khayelitsha, and Philippi. The program will conclude with a high-level debate in the NCOP. Catch us live across Parliament's platforms from 16 to 19 September and follow us on our social media platforms using the handle @ParliamentofRSA and visit our website www.parliament.gov.za for more information. Your Parliament, your voice, your future.
You are still tuned in to Parliament TV right here in Cape Town from our Parliament TV studio. Of course, we're broadcasting live in the heart of Cape Town, in the heart of the precinct. And of course, you can join the conversation. We are during Local Government Week. And of course, you can have that conversation on our social media platforms at Parliament of RSA. It is, of course, your parliament, your voice, your future. And of course, the sharp focus today is Local Government Week. And discussions are framed by the powerful theme, restoring the dignity of our people through spatial planning, provision of human settlement, water, and sanitation. Now, since morning presentations by ministers and stakeholders focused on the state of our municipalities and what this week aims to achieve. But we are privileged to be joined in studio by the chairperson of the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs and Public Administration in the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Kaunda. Chairperson, thank you so much for joining us at Parliament TV.
Thank you very much, Seppo. Thank you very much to your viewers at home, and we are happy to join you. Thank you for hosting us.
Chair, let's get straight into it. Of course, we've had the first session, and right now the House is on lunch, right? With that, from your committee's oversight perspective, how would you characterize the current state of local government in the country, particularly concerning the core theme of the Local Government Week 2025?
If you look at the theme that the NCOP has decided upon for this local government week, it's actually respond to the challenges that our communities are faced with on a daily basis. We have submitted a report to the NCOP on the state of local government, which highlighted some few challenges, but it's also good to highlight the good work that municipalities are doing. Remember that the president has been hosting investment conferences.
Yes.
And investors have shown interest in investing in different provinces of our country, which is informed by the work that municipalities are doing on the ground. Because remember, what investors are looking for is to give them assurance whether there is adequate water supply, electricity, sanitation, and all other bulk services. So that on its own, it talks to the successes that municipalities have made, including opening access to water. Many households have access to clean water, electricity, sanitation, refuse collection. The numbers have increased, but of course, there were factors which informed declines.
Yes.
And part of those factors is urbanization. The migration to bigger cities, you find that you have reached a stage of 90% or 93%, then you regress to 80% on the basis that there are new informal settlements that are coming to the areas and people are establishing without even following the plans that municipalities have about development, which will directly have impact in terms of the budgets.
Yes.
Because you've got now to budget. Remember that Constitution compels municipalities to render these basic services, water, electricity, sanitation, because if you do not do that, that means you are already in the breach of the Constitution. So then, therefore, municipalities need to be assisted. So on the stage of municipalities, we have identified some of the weaknesses which we are agreeing with Auditor General. In some municipalities, the issues of skills. Municipalities are unable to attract good, competent people, on especially small municipalities and rural-based municipalities,
Correct.
based on their capacity, financial capacity. Remember that the categorization of municipalities in terms of budgeting as well, COGTA will issue regulations which says you can't employ people going beyond this threshold of paying them. So therefore, that on its own directly affects the capacity of municipalities. That is why we are happy with the review on the white paper on local government, which people have shown huge interest, keen interest to contribute as to how do we foresee municipalities working better for our communities. Part of what needs to be done in that review is to ascertain that the funding for municipalities is reviewed. Because remember, especially looking at the metros and other secondary cities, people are coming in bigger numbers. But budgets and equitable share still remain within the same percentage, which does not influence how it can really enable municipalities to be responsive to the aspirations and needs of their residents. So those are the issues, but handling of finances, we are agreeing with Auditor General that there is a lot that still needs to be done. Good governance, good administration, it requires decisive leadership, it requires unity and stability in municipalities. Because if there is no stability, if the troika, the mayor does not work with the speaker, does not work with the municipal manager, then you are not going to achieve anything. In other municipalities, as you have heard the president alluding to it, Tizobotla in Northwest, you've got 2 mayors. You've got 2 mayors. Tabazimbi was the same thing. That before we went there, those are the reports we received. That there are parallel structures. So you need to stabilize governance. You need to ensure that finances are in good shape. You need to ensure that you also give confidence to the investors. Because if you do not show that confidence to the investors, they are not going to invest in your city. In fact, they are going to pull out of your city. The issues of crime needs to be attended to. The issues of refuse collection, the issues of supply of electricity, adequate electricity, water and sanitation. Those are basic things. But ensuring that roads are also in good shape, so that those investors will be certain that their goods will be transported smoothly to reach to their destination. So therefore, all these pockets of issues require that you need to have stable municipalities, but working effectively. The issues of procurement are also part of the worries that we as a select committee have raised, that we need to concentrate. MESA and other agencies of the government and the provincial cooperative governance and provincial treasurers should put more concerted efforts to ascertain that there's good planning when it comes to procurement. You start your procurement the very same current year, financial year, you expect the good result. No, you must plan in advance. Your procurement should be planned in advance for the following year. You know, these are the things that will be kicking in. So therefore, the budget should talk to those things and also enable you, when you allocate those funds, to completely use those funds. Because, you know, the other negative thing that we must deal with when it comes to our municipalities is under expenditure. You get allocated funding, but you underspend it. That means you are no longer responding to the needs of the people on the ground.
Lastly then on that, coming back to the local government week, can the public then expect that the committee is going to be working from the draft reports that you're going to receive? Of course, you're going to go on oversight. There's going to be more speeches that are going to be made from different entities. What can the public expect that the committee will be grappling with after this?
Firstly, how the NCOP have structured this interface is good, where we brought in stakeholders, ministers, our MECs, everybody under one roof, so that all issues which are raised will be channeled to relevant departments. And we as select committee will be making follow-ups to ascertain that those issues are responded to, because these are not talk shows. We are not calling people to come to parliament and say things. We'll not be visiting them to go there just for the sake of ticking the box. But these visits will be the actual response to the aspirations and needs of the people on the ground. And therefore, follow-ups will be made, people will be made to account. The council, the city of Cape Town must come here and account, because, you know, we promote and we encourage all municipalities to get clean audits.
Yes, that is correct.
That is what is expected. But that clean audit should be aligned with service delivery on the ground. It should not be about producing good reports, good financial accounts. But when it comes to services and the inequalities that we are seeing in Cape Town, I'm sure the reports are indicating the growth of inequalities in this city, which then separates people into two.
Yes.
Those who have and those who have not. And you can't have government not treating people equally and ascertain that when services are delivered, all people enjoy good services. The minister has spoken very well and at a mouthful when she said the 30-kilometer proximity to all these amenities, to towns, because when our people are being shifted out of towns and economic activities, how are they going to access job opportunities easily? How are they going to access economic opportunities for traders? In this city, sometimes when you walk around, you can see that informal trading is as if it's treated like an isolated something right at a particular corner. People are not allowed to fully participate economically. So you'll only find them squeezed in the localities, in townships, Kailicha, Kokule, Tunyanga, and other areas. So those are the issues that since stakeholders have raised these issues, tomorrow and the following day will be conducting oversights, interacting with communities. So from there we'll come back and look at these reports and present a report for the debate in the NCOP. But after that, select committees should be seized with the responsibility to ascertain that people are happy with the responses that will be given and there is no gap. When we have conducted these visits, there must be another period where we'll go back to those committees with Izimbizo to give this feedback, what have transpired during the visit and what has been the responses to all the issues that people have raised.
Honorable Ganda, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And of course, that was the chairperson of the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs and Public Administration. And this is from the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Kaunda. You're still watching Parliament TV. We have more for you. Stay tuned.
One, there are difficulties on implementing, particularly from the traditional leaders' side. We may have to go back and discuss the issues and the key areas in which Spluma wants to purport. In the first home housing financing, we are now receiving land from traditional leaders to build officially in what we call the rural edge of our cities and towns. But would you want to give a house that a person will be receiving a grant that a person may not be able to even apply for a title deed for proper ownership? And that is what makes land in those key special notes to be less attractive in the financing, even from the economic commercial banks. And if we deal with this special framework then and its development informed by the shortcomings of Spluma and the areas in which traditional leaders could be of help to formalize those areas, it could only be able to accelerate quite a number of mixed model parcels as well. It is important for us to support everybody to stay where he or she wishes to stay. For you to be able to leverage in your own investment, it shouldn't be that you are compelled to stay in what we term urban edge areas because you could be able to claim. So Spluma can be of importance in ensuring that integrated human settlements are created even in rural areas. If you look closed into our chapter 8 of our NDP, it clearly demonstrates that as the leader of a human settlement, we need to ensure that we transform all our spaces without leaving anybody behind. So it means we must dictate, even bring closer the economic development direction towards the rural edges of our cities and towns to make sure that there is everything that becomes economic to follow in the direction that human settlements take our people. It is very interesting when an area which has been called rural, when municipalities start to become developmental, and see under their own with no assistance, you see business being the first one to land there and take the opportunity away from that local municipality which has struggled in designing that area, because they perform market studies and follow. Once you start to see a container of a retailer, you must know that that municipality has won. But as it gets to be developed, it gets to be taken away from them.
WIC continues to tackle the most pressing issues facing our communities. A central theme this year is the critical need for integrated planning and execution between spheres of government. This was the focus of the first session, which addressed the nexus of human settlements and spatial planning. The Auditor General's report consistently highlights the disconnect between planning and delivery as a key failure in the local government, leading to housing backlogs, poorly located projects, and a lack of basic services. The Minister of Human Settlements, Ms. Temi Simelane, addressed this very same issue head-on. She joins us now to discuss how the national, provincial, and local spheres can be better aligned to finally provide sustainable, integrated, and well-located human settlements for all South Africans. Minister, siyabulela kakhulu ngokuthi ube nathi lapha namhlanje, and welcome to Parliament TV.
No, thank you very much and good afternoon.
Well, Minister, if you can start by what you said in your address. You spoke about the integrated planning. And in practical terms, if you can just share with our viewers at home, what are some of the challenges in the current planning process between national, provincial, and local government that leads to delay or, in fact, ineffective housing projects?
Well, I just think one needs to find the answer in why do we have integrated relations, IGR, government relations, in terms of ensuring that we plan collectively. But if you look into the ethos of the district development model, they try to harmonize and provide assistance packaged as one government, one plan, one budget, which is the fundamental of what President Ramaphosa launched in the district development model. If you cascade it down into directly the question you've asked, provision of integrated human settlements. What causes the delay, the problems, and the challenges is that for a settlement, for example, to be a fully fledged human settlement, you need national, you need provincial, you need a local. You need a local to provide land. You need a province to provide services. You need a local to formalize that area from either agricultural, in terms of a design, register that settlement, prepare it, and then house people. So there is usually a distinction between the pressure that a municipality feels and start allocating stands and avail land to people when the province is not ready with the services. And national, as a transferring agent, doesn't have even that area as part of the plan that would have been provided by the province. So you find that we're disjuncted. There's a lot of disjunction. Where the province puts services, they don't build houses. Where there are houses, there are no services. And there's all this parallelism in between. And I think the plan in ensuring that there must be business plans now that are submitted by the province on behalf of their space and all the municipalities is to ensure that there's proper coordination and collaboration in targeting one and the same. And this poor planning is an example of how many incomplete projects do we have. I met the MEC of Northwest last week. They were presenting about 9 projects, which we term them blocked projects. They are incomplete. Incomplete in a sense that there could be 3,000 people who have been assisted. They are staying in a house, but there are no services. There's no electricity. There's no water. In some instances, there's no bulk. Because for you to create a human settlement properly, it means you've got to have the Department of Water and Sanitation in this instance involved and aligned jointly with the municipality and the electricity component for you to be able to have a house that you could be able to utilize. So it goes also into an aspect of the selection of practically this land, because a human settlement needs to be able to have proper roads, needs to be part and contribute economically into the well-being of this resident, of this citizen, but also equally of this municipality, such that the planning needs to be coordinated. So you need the link into the main road, into a provincial road, into a national road, into creating the markets that could be able to attract business to come and inject. Otherwise, you create a sea of poverty. What do we realize in the projects which were done 2015 backward, where you will find backwards, where you will find land, let's say it could be 100 hectares or whatever, you put 300 RDP houses in a line. No school, no clinic, no road, no water, no electricity, but worse, no opportunities for employment. So you have got people who are, yes, having a shelter on top of their head, but they can't be able to work, they can't contribute to this council, and then how do you, as council, lose your money? Automatically, that's a recipe for illegal connections. So there is quite a lot that we need to do in integrating.
I'm glad that you highlighted some of the challenges that are facing integration. Now, how is your department then going to ensure that it's working with the municipalities to acquire this well-located land, and also ensure the special justice is a primary consideration, not an afterthought?
Well, there's quite a number of programs in the basket of the services that we're providing that we do. One, we assist the municipality in terms of ensuring that the land that they've identified through our housing development agency, they will be able to register it appropriately in terms of technical support. Sometimes we even do the geotechnical studies and pay for them on our behalf, because some of the municipalities, particularly the rural and small, are unable to do that. And secondly, in the areas, as I'm saying, we are trying to move away from just creating only the BNG houses, what we loosely call RDP houses, to create rather a very basket of infused type of, from low-cost housing, medium to a middle income, but also taking care of people who are unable to qualify for a RDP or for a bond. And then we have our first home housing allowance, which then we get to our people to get. For the improvement of the quality of both BNG and the developer management program of the system that we use, we then utilize our entity NHBRC, which assists the municipalities in ensuring that whatever we hand over to them, we minimize the issue of the quality so that we invest once as government, but we move on. We assist municipalities with regard to beneficiary management. One of the key cost drivers to provision of human settlement has been the availability of land. I'm sure you might have seen that we will use a 36 million here to purchase land, which you have basically not done anything, but you're already 40 million in the down without even having provided a single house. A collaboration between ourselves, municipalities, and National Department of Public Works. We have said to them, avail to us land of government, that we are able to minus that cost. It's government to government. It's a creation of a service that government would want its citizen to benefit from. Currently, we've received no less than 2,500 hectares from the Department of Public Works of state land just for human settlement. We're targeting mainly those that are within the community development district, which is what we call the CBDs, so that we minimize the costs that our citizens spend traveling and shuttling from work to home. They are part of a town and a city that they are working for. And that couples us with assisting municipalities in the claim back of hijacked buildings. You might have seen a collaboration we have in eThekwini, a collaboration we have in the city of Johannesburg. And that is beginning to build fruits into ensuring that we bring our people closer.
I'm glad you mentioned the issue of hijacked buildings, because it's one of the main issues, which is housing hijacking and illegal occupation of unfinished project, which poses a serious threat in terms of, and also derails service delivery. So what strategies does your department have in place to better secure projects and work with law enforcement to protect public assets?
I think you might have seen that this is a multi-pronged strategy. We use Metropolis, we use SAPS, we use our security systems in ensuring that wherever we have taken back the building or the land which we are preparing for a project, we safeguard it. It comes at a bit of a cost for us, but it's better a cost than a cost of trying to invest when you're halfway building, the project is hijacked or is taken over by an illegal occupation happen. In that way, you would have lost multitude of millions that you have invested, and you are unable now to see its fruition. And who's the biggest loser here is the beneficiary, who is an old men and women, a person with disabilities, whose policy targets that they need to be supported by government in a provision of a house. And that's what gets to be lost, and it's usually never calculated. So most of our municipalities are unable to afford that service, and we give an extra hand. I did articulate that, for example, we're launching a month or two to come, our housing HSS system, which is our database really, which will be live. You could, one, apply online, but two, we want to deal with the historical redress. Do you have a RDP house or not? Where can you check your number what on the system? So that it deals with the transparency, elimination of corruption, but also redress. We know there are people who on paper have got houses, but they never received them. The house was given to somebody else, but the bill is in your name.
Manje mphathiswa ndiyavuya ukuthi ukhulume ngaloko. Yini indlela enothi nibe khona ukuze nikwazi ukusombulula le ngxaki sibhekene nayo, because siyezwa mhlambe nani nizozwa masenihamba kusasa nangolwesini ukuthi abantu bazothi kunabantu esebewathole izindlu kodwa bangayihlali abaseselistini yokuthi bafuna izindlu. Nizokwenza njani ukuthi uze nijongane nalezo nto lezo?
Well, i-policy yethu it's under review, which allows us, one, currently iti hlala endlini for 8 years before uba negunya nelungelo lokuyithengisa, uyishintshe ibize egameni lalowo muntu. Kodwa sesibonile izindlu ezakhiwe ngo-2023, 2022 esesemarketini abantu bazi-advertise. Sizithatha back ezo zindlu sizi-reallocate. Kunezindlu eza-reallocate ezanikwa abantu ekumele bazithathe bahlale kuzo, abahlali. Sibhalela ama-municipalities ngoku ukuthi khiphana ama-advert kuzokwazi ukuthi kube legislated ukuthi ubani umnikazi wendlu wafunwa wangaveli indlu yanikezwa omunye umuntu oyidingayo. Ngoba uma singenzi kanjalo kuba nezinkinga ezibakhona ekuhlaleni. Lezo zindlu lezo zithathwa ngabantu esingabazi, balimaza abahlali, kubulawa abantu bathole bafile khona lapho. Kwesinye isikhathi ziyavandalizwa, abantu bazokhipha iqapha, amafastera njalo njalo bashiya ama-empty shell. Kanti this is a service ukuthi uhulumeni ubefuna ukuthi be-transferred to the citizen. Sine white paper nayo esifakayo eParliament. Sifuna ukubheka ukuthi is it sustainable for government ukuqhubha ngenqubo yokwakha nokwaba izindlu. Okunye ke sesikwenza manje sibiza ama-service stands. Singenisa kakhulu ukucompare izindlu esizakhayo nokuthi masikunike umuntu osemusha, ungabe ungasebenzi kodwa uma une-service stand ukwazi ukuthi ubeke indawo yakho, whether it's even a shack, kodwa endaweni esegameni lakho, ukuthi mhla ukwazi ukuthola okuncane unesifiso sokuzakhela wakha usendaweni yakho. lokho kwenza ukuthi ama informal settlements ngohlobo esilwazi ngawo angasabi khona kodwa abe ukuthi it's a formalized settlement noma indlu ingekho.
Hlonishwa ushaba lethu lixesha asibonge kakhulu ukuthi uthathe isikhathi ukuthi uzokhuluma nathi manje.
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Viewers, that was the Minister of Human Settlements reflecting on the ongoing the local government week currently underway in Cape Town at Parliament and in the National Council of Provinces. Please stay tuned as we take you back into the National Council of Provinces chamber.